My name is Carly, and today I wanted to bring you another book tag because I found this one and it was Avatar: The Last Airbender themed, if you couldn't tell by the title, and I freaking love Avatar: The Last Airbender. I remember watching it as a kid and loving it, and then I went and binged the whole thing back in September and absolutely still loved it as an adult, and I am currently watching Legend of Korra, and again, still freaking loving it. I love the world, the characters, bending, the moves, and just everything about it I love. So when I came across this book tag, I could not do it. I had to do it. So I am here today doing that tag for you guys, even though I wasn't tagged, but whatever. Should be fun. It was originally made by a Clockwork Reader, so I will leave her original video into the description below if you want to go watch it. What it is that there are 4 different nations. If you don't know anything about Avatar: The Last Airbender, there are 4 different nations. You've got water, earth, fire, and air, and for each nation there are 3 questions associated with that nation, which have been then associated with books, which I have picked out. Let's just get into this. First nation we're going to start off with is going to be water, with the first question being Katara and Sokka, aka best sibling relationship. For this one, I went with Simon versus the Homo Sapien Agenda by Becky Arbitelli. It's about our main character Simon and just him dealing with being blackmailed and a crush he likes, but he doesn't know who they are. And within it all, he does have 2 sisters. I loved the relationship that all 3 of them had with each other. Kind of reminded me of the relationship I have with my brothers, in the sense that we're not super close in age, but we still have good times together, which the 3 of them, whenever they would get together, they would have fun. They would talk. Like, it was just a great sibling relationship that reminded me of my sibling relationship. My relationship with my sibling. Second question, Yue. Favorite star-crossed lover. For this one, I decided to go with Rhett Butler and Scarlett O'Hara from Gone with the Wind by Margaret Mitchell. Huge book. I read this in like freaking 8th grade, but it follows Scarlett O'Hara and her in about Civil War time in the South. Lives on a plantation. She's very rich, very spoiled, always kind of getting her way, and just how the American Civil War affects her and her lifestyle and the different men that she meets and marries along the way, one of which is Rhett Butler. And why I chose them was because throughout the story, you meet Rhett very early on in the story, and he has shown an interest towards Scarlett the entire book. And even when they finally get married, Scarlett's still not quite as interested in Rhett, but by the end of the book, she's finally interested. But Rhett is over it. He's done. He's just tired of the way she's treated him, of the way she acts, and he's just done when she is finally ready to have a relationship. And it's very bittersweet, considering everything that had happened to them too. Third question is Bloodbending, a book that is disturbing, kind of unsettling. For this one, I went with Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil by John Barron. I don't know. But I don't really read very many disturbing or unsettling books, but I chose this one because it is based off a true crime, like a murder that happened, I think in the 80s in like Savannah. And the way this is written, it reads more like a novel. So honestly, for the first probably third or so of the book, when I did read this, I actually didn't realize that this was based on a true story, on a true crime, and these people in the book were real people. But just kind of that concept, the fact that the crime happens pretty like later on in the book, so you get to know the person who's been accused of doing this and the person who was killed, and also all the people kind of around that in their own way create the life of the Savannah, and you get to know kind of everyone a part of the story. But just the fact that it was based off a true murder kind of makes it a little unsettling, a little disturbing if that's not something you necessarily like to read about. Second nation on the list is going to be the Earth Nation. This will be question 4, aka Toph. aka a character whose strengths surprised either you, the reader, or the characters in the book. For this one, I decided to go with Waylon Van Eck from The Six of Crows duology by Leigh Bardugo. When you first meet him, he's like this little kid that everyone is like, are you sure he's a teenager? What is he doing here? Why, Kaz, why did you bring this kid in? He can't even read. Like, he can't read. And it turns out he's like the greatest demolition expert, like bombs and explosions and chemistry and everything. He is great at. He knows his stuff, and once he shows that to everyone is kind of like, whoa, okay, you're cool. I like you. You're great. You're helpful, despite everything else. So Waylon was very much a surprise to pretty much everyone that was a part of this group. Question 5 is Tales of Ba Sing Se, aka your favorite poetry collection or short story collection. I don't really care for poetry, and I don't really read very many short stories, but what I did choose for this was this Agatha Christie collection that a friend gave me, and just as Christie classics, but this particular one that I have here has 2 full-length novels and 3 novelettes. So the 2 novels are The Murder of Roger Ackroyd, and the second one being And Then There Were None, and the novelettes were The Witness for the Prosecution and Philomel Cottage and 3 Blind Mice. Agatha Christie, if you don't know anything about her, she writes mystery novels. She wrote mystery novels about 1920s or so. Super great, known kind of for her twist endings. The Murder of Roger Ackroyd and Then There Were None being some, at least from my understanding, some of her most famous ones. And I will admit that both of them were super good. Murder of Roger Ackroyd, I was not expecting the ending. And Then There Were None, the first time I read this, it gave me nightmares. So, I actually adore Agatha Christie, and all this in here is actually super great for me. I love having this in my collection. Number 6 is the Kyoshi Warriors, aka Best Warrior Character. For this one, I decided to go with Annabeth Chase from the Percy Jackson series and Heroes of Olympus series by Rick Riordan. She's so cool. I mean, she's already, like, when you first introduced to her at, she's 12, she's already pretty BA. And then when you get to the Mark of Athena and Heroes of Olympus and everything she has to go through, she's even, like, by then, she's grown so much, she's already been a BA, and she's, like, even bigger of one in the Heroes of Olympus series, and she's just, like, able to hold her own. She's such a cool character. I adore her, and she's an awesome warrior character. Third nation is the Fire Nation, and honestly, if I could have any bending powers, it would probably be fire. I love it so much. But on to the questions. Question 7 is Zuko, aka Best Redemption for a character that you liked, or a redemption for a character that you wished would have happened. For this one, I decided to go with the Gray Man from the Raven Cycle series, and as you see here, I have The Dream Thieves by Maggie Stiefvater in my hand, because this is the first book that he shows up in, but he's a hitman. Gray Man is a hitman, and he's really good at his job as a hitman, and when we first kind of meet him, he has been hired to find the Grey Warren, which is one of the kids, so technically he's been hired to kidnap someone, which is what would happen if he had followed through with his plan. But he turns out to be a really kind of cool guy, and not at all like the evil hitman stereotype, and he is one of my favorite characters, so I feel like he kind of got a redemption of sorts there. Number 8 is Iroh, aka Wise's character. For this one, I decided to go with Lupin from the Harry Potter series by J.K. Rowling. Again, as you see here, I have the 3rd book in my hands. It's The Prisoner of Azkaban, because this is the first book he shows up in. And I chose Lupin because he's one of the better Defense Against the Dark Arts teachers the kids had in Harry Potter's time at Hogwarts. And to Harry, for this year, he kind of acts as like this mentor and that father figure of sorts. He teaches Harry stuff like the Patronus and is there just talked about his parents, and Harry really looks up to him, and I just thought he was a pretty wise and great character, especially for Harry. Number 9 is Azula, aka Best Downfall of a Character. For this one, I'm going with Umbridge from, again, the Harry Potter series by J.K. Rowling. And I have the 5th book, the Order of the Phoenix, in my hands because that's the one she first shows up in. But she is a horrible character. Despicable. If you saw my Geekerella review, she is like the type of character I hate. I cannot stand. So towards the end, when Fred and George just kind of say, F it, we're gonna do what we want, and start like playing pranks on her, where all the teachers are also like, oh, I don't know if I can fix that swamp in the middle of the floor, let's go ask Umbridge. And so she keeps getting pulled in 10 different ways, and then at the end when Harry and like Hermione trick her, and then she gets dragged away by the centaurs because of her like inflated ego where she thinks they must listen to her, is such a magical moment. It's so gratifying. And then yeah, she does show up again, but just all the stuff that happens to her in this towards the end of this book, where it's not very good, makes her downfall in the Order of the Phoenix great. Final nation is the Air Nation. It starts with question 10. Appa, aka favorite character, like pets or animals in a book. For this one, I decided to go with Raina's dogs are Argentum and Arum. From my pronunciations, they're so off. From the Last Hero series by Rick Riordan. Her dogs are, I guess, metal-ish dogs, so they're not really real animals, but they follow her around. They're basically her pets. They are very loyal to her. They can tell when someone's lying. That's what she uses them for. But at the same time, when she needs help fighting and everything, they are there for her and they help protect her. And for that, I couldn't not help but not choose them for this question. Question 11 is Egg, aka purest cinnamon roll character. For this one, I decided to go with Ollie from Everything Everything by Nicola Yoon. Ollie is just so sweet, such a sweet character. I mean, the way he is towards Maddie, he's obviously he really likes her, even though she's sick. He likes Maddie so much, and it's so sweet how he's like willing to do anything for it, even if it means running away to Hawaii, even though she probably shouldn't be running away to Hawaii. But he follows and goes with her because he cares about her and wants to make sure she's alright, but he's also wanting to give her the time of her life because she hasn't really had the chance to do so. So he warmed his way into my heart, and I really adored him. So, Ollie. And the final question for this tag is the Avatar state, aka a stubborn character or a character that had a hard time letting go. For this one, I decided to go with Macy from The Truth About Forever by Sarah Dessen. In this book, she struggles with the guilt about surrounding her father's death because they usually went running in the mornings, and this particular morning she decided not to go, but then a few minutes later, after he had already left, she decided to go, and then she came along him on the run, him on the ground after having a heart attack. And so she struggles really hard with trying to be this perfect person for her mom, and the guilt from her dad's death, like just her constantly like, what if I had gone with him? Maybe I could have saved him. So she struggles really hard with kind of letting go of that and letting go of being this perfect person. And by the end, she does get to a happier place. That, my friends, has been the Avatar: The Last Airbender book tag. Had lots of fun with it. It just made me, like, as I'm reminiscing about all these books, I'm also reminiscing about the show and the characters and how much I want to be like in that world despite everything that happens. I want to know, out of any bending, what would it be? I want to be a firebender. I don't know, they're just so cool with the fire and their moves, and I love watching like the firebenders bend in the show. I love it. If you want to do it, I say do it. I'm not tagging anyone in particular. If you think it sounds like fun, you should do it. So there, that's my tag. That's my general tagging for people. Okay, if you liked what you saw, you can always click the subscribe button, and I will see you guys later with another video. Bye!